Hello and welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. My name is Michael Mjisha, and on this episode, good news in the mobile telecommunications as we wrap up 2018 with a remarkable growth. The industry hits nearly 10 million subscribers, with Airtel Tigo leading the market with about 5.1 million subscribers compared to MTN Rwanda that has about 3.5 million subscribers. Now, for more on this, Patrick Nyirishema, Director General of Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, joins us on this episode for more on doing business in Rwanda.
There's been a lot of effort to drive affordability of services, and that has led to two things. One is an increase in subscriptions. Between January and October this year, we've seen an increase of approximately 800,000 new subscriptions.
800,000
new
subscriptions.
New subscriptions. And number two, we've also seen a significant increase in terms of usage. Average usage per user has approximately doubled in the same time period. So most of this is driven by affordability. We've seen telecom companies, or you have seen on the market, very aggressive marketing. You've seen new products, mostly bundled services, where people can call almost for unlimited for certain amounts of money or internet usage. So this has driven significant growth, not just in terms of subscription, but also in terms of usage.
As we see mobile penetration growing 80+%, we're still looking at postpaid phones reducing heavily from hundreds of thousands to just 50,000. What is happening on that front?
Okay, I think that this is more a reflection of the kind of market that we are, but also generally you see the same trend in developing countries. There's a lot of price sensitivity within subscribers. And if you compare postpaid services to prepaid services, there's a big gap at the moment, because for prepaid services, there are a lot of options in terms of packages. You can have daily packs, you can have weekly packs, you can have monthly packs. And all of these highly differentiate in terms of pricing, per unit pricing. And most of the decrease that you've seen from postpaid to prepaid is because subscribers are looking for this kind of flexibility and, of course, affordability of the service. That's the main driver, because overall the market is growing, but we see the postpaid decreasing, and logically this is the reason why that is the case.
Other people say that subscribers may be opting out for the use of data for the likes of social media kind of communication, and rather not directly through our carriers. Doesn't this necessarily hurt the business of telecommunication companies that we have in the country already?
This is a global trend. What we call the OTTs, over-the-top services, this is a global trend that we see, which of course has impacted on the revenues. Usage has not gone away, because even services such as WhatsApp and those, they still require internet connections, so people are still using data. But overall, in terms of voice revenue, we've seen an impact there. But at the same time, we've also seen tremendous growth in terms of data usage. And what the telcos are doing mostly is to see how to convert the increased data usage into more revenue and maybe make up for the lost revenue, particularly on the side of voice. I wouldn't say that is the factor for postpaid, prepaid, because whether you are postpaid, whether you're prepaid, I don't think makes a big difference. You still use those services. I think the big differentiator between the two is the kind of packages you get, their cost, and the flexibility with which you use them. So I think this is still the big factor why people are moving from postpaid to prepaid.
Now, tell me, what guidelines have been put in place that maybe to keep the market afloat and everything running smoothly?
Yes. So first of all, let me talk about the Airtel Tigo merger, because I think that was very significant. It came in a context, as we were saying a few minutes ago, of globally we're seeing a decline in terms of growth, slowing down of growth. In our own market, we could see that, as well as the profitability within the industry. And as a regulator, of course, we get concerned. We want all the companies to be doing well, healthy, growing, investing. And so we're at a point where a 3 mobile operator market was not growing as it should in terms of revenues, in terms of all parameters considered. And that's why, as a regulator, we approved the consolidation between Airtel and Tigo. MTN, of course, was the largest operator in the country at the time. And what has happened is not so much MTN falling off. What has happened is the consolidation. If you combined the Airtel, Tigo portion of the market, that's how they went above 50%, and MTN was down to, in fact, if at the time of the merger, I think MTN was approximately 45. Now it's 47 against 53. So they haven't lost so much. I think they have actually taken advantage of the transition to have 2% growth.
So in your perspective, you're saying this has actually stabilized the market?
Yes. What the positive outcome of this is that we ended up with 2 very strong operators, 57 against 47, which I think is 53 against 47, sorry, which is a very good thing within the market because it drives very strong competition, and you have, a better balanced market than it was before. So we're happy about that. Secondly, we have continued to push to make sure that there is a level playing field, that all operators are playing with the same rules, that the sector is effectively regulated. We've pushed for more affordability of services, which the operators have been doing through a lot of bundling and packs. So from a regulatory standpoint, we're quite happy of the progress in 2018. We're moving towards the end of the year on quite a stable market structure. 2 strong entities that are investing heavily, actually. We're seeing the biggest investment into the telecom infrastructure that we've seen over the last 20 years, a very big push on both ends. Again, as a result of having 2 operators, strong competition, and of course each one of them wanting to, to have a good standing and improving their services. So we're seeing significant investment into the infrastructure, and I think we have a very good year ahead of us, 2019. At the moment, we're looking at 95% plus coverage, population coverage across the country. So anybody who subscribes to 4G will be able to get the service almost anywhere in the country. But I also must say that the uptake hasn't been as fast as the rollout happened, mostly because of the pricing. We've seen mobile operators aggressively dropping down the prices of 3G. They have also, by the way, scaled up the coverage as well. So we've seen coverage of 3G, for example, on the side of MTN, probably seen significant, maybe 40% increase in terms of the coverage or even more. We're still assessing the actual numbers, but there's significant increase in terms of coverage of 3G, and then significant drop in terms of pricing. So what we're seeing is 4G not competing favorably against the 3G. But I think it's a transition, moving from 2G to 3G, 4G. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the dynamics play out for 2019. But for this year, I think we can be happy that the coverage now is there. And really, if the coverage is already there, the investment has been done, the 4G operator will be looking at converting that into revenue. So we should have an interesting market dynamics happening going forward.
Patrick, looking back at 2018, what do you think is the biggest lesson to learn from as we move forward to 2019 in the telecommunications space?
For me, the biggest lesson is how hungry people are for internet. This surprised us because overall usage has doubled in this year. That was unexpected. Normally, you expect incremental growth. But this for me was an eye-opener because doubling within 1 year shows me that even in 2019 it can even double again. So with a little bit of tweaking of the market, increasing access, increasing affordability, we've seen the doubling of uptake and usage. And for me, that's a very positive indicator. It also shows that something is happening in the economy, because when people consume, they're using it for something. It might be economic, it might be social, it might be whatever it is. But definitely, I think the economic outlook is good, because consumption reflects a good outlook in the economy. But also the hunger that people have, that's a very good thing, very good news for the industry.
Right.
We'll continue to work with operators to leverage that and continue to drive the growth.
With the rise of internet and everything being done online, of course comes with pros and cons. And here we're looking mostly at cyber crime and cyber security. Is Rwanda ready for such challenges at this moment?
I would say yes, but with a caveat. Yes, in terms of Rwanda's readiness, institutions are in charge of security. As a regulator, work very closely with telecom companies. We have security regulations in place to make sure they're doing the right thing. There are security institutions, of course, in the country, and they look at all of security, including cyber. So I think as a country, we're in good standing in terms of our preparedness and our efforts towards cyber resilience. The caveat is that in the cyber domain, it's evolving very fast. Even the most sophisticated countries, we see, attacks here and there, right, left, and center. And so one cannot never say that, we airtight, but I can say the readiness is good. We're vigilant, and the cyber threats are not going to be a reason for us to slow down. We're going to continue to push growth. But security is always considered and taken care of.
Allow us to leave it right there for this episode. Of course, for more, be sure to leave us an email on dbir@abn360.com or tweet us directly at dbirwanda. My personal handle, Galware4. My name is Michael Mjisha, and from the entire Doing Business in Rwanda team, thank you very much for watching.